to make your produce taste the best and last the longest. Honestly, look at the difference there.
Yeah, you know, so
bananas.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the show. Well, if there's anywhere we could all use a little help saving time and making our lives easier, it's in the kitchen. So today, my guests and I have the shortcuts and hacks to help you do just that. Now, whether you're cooking or baking, it's always frustrating when you come across a recipe that just gets you real amped up. But upon reading it through, you realize it calls for ingredients or gadgets you just don't have. That's why I usually try to write recipes that don't involve gadgets. For instance, waffles. Delicious. Everyone loves a waffle. You know, you wake up on a Saturday morning and you're like, that'd be great. A really crispy, delicious pancake that's a waffle, and it's got all those little nooks and crannies for the butter and the syrup and everything to get in. Love a waffle, but guess what? You don't have any buttermilk, let alone a waffle iron. Or maybe you're just like me and you don't want to dig out your waffle iron because it's definitely at the back of that cupboard on top of the fridge. No. So I wanted to show you how to make my grill pan waffles. So we're gonna use not a waffle iron, we're gonna use a grill pan to get those classic kind of ridges and little nooks and crannies to get the syrup and the butter all in there, good and crispy and totally wonderful. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. That's gonna come in a little bit later, but first off, we gotta get to work on the actual batter for these waffles. Now, the first thing we need is buttermilk. Now, I do typically have buttermilk on hand because I love buttermilk. I feel very like Bing Crosby in White Christmas. I'm not drinking a glass of buttermilk because gross, but I do love having buttermilk on hand. But if you don't have any, it's an easy thing to make a substitute for. So I'm gonna show you how to make a really quick and easy buttermilk substitute. So I've got just a measuring cup here. For this recipe, you need about 1.5 cups of buttermilk. So I'm gonna show you how to make a version of basically acidified milk to kind of mimic that buttermilk. So I've got a 2-cup glass measuring cup here, and into there, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of vinegar. You can use white vinegar, you could use apple cider vinegar, you could also use lemon juice. Basically, you just wanna add something that's gonna acidify the milk because that's gonna help it react better with the baking soda and baking powder, giving you extra lift and a little bit of tang. So into there, I'm going in, the ratio is about 2 teaspoons of acid per cup of milk. So since I need 1.5 cups, that means I need about 3 teaspoons of that vinegar. Into there, I'm gonna go on top with some milk. Now, you could do it the other way around, but this is an easy way to make sure you get the exact amount you're looking for. So I'm gonna pour that milk just until it reaches the 1.5 cup or 12-ounce mark. Perfect. Now, when I pour that milk in, that kind of acts to mix in that acid. Sometimes I'll do it the other way, where I'll add the milk and then the vinegar in, but then you kind of get this weird clump where that acid goes in and acidifies. This makes sure everything's mixed together before you even need to stir it. So that's good to go. Now, if you want to, you can leave this aside to let it thicken up. That acid reacts with that milk, giving it a little bit of a different texture, which does help the end result. If you don't have time though, this will still do the trick if you need to use it right away. But I'm gonna give it a second and work on the dry ingredients for these waffles. So the first thing I need for my waffles is 1.25 cups of all-purpose flour. All-purpose flour is great. It gives a nice like lightness into your waffles. Really, really tasty. Perfect. Now, for a bit of nuttiness, I'm going in with 1/2 cup of whole wheat flour. If you don't have whole wheat flour, you can also do another 1/2 cup of that all-purpose. But I love using whole wheat flour. I don't want to replace all the all-purpose though, because it does make for a really heavy waffle. And like you want a light, fluffy waffle on the inside, crispy on the outside, right? So that little bit gives you that little bit of fiber, makes you feel a little better about the fact that you're having cake essentially for breakfast. It's a good thing. All right, now into there, we're gonna go in with 3 tablespoons of sugar, just to give this a little bit of sweetness. That's also gonna enhance the browning of the waffle. So 3 tablespoons of that goes right on into my bowl. I was having real waffle cravings and like pancake situations. I made pancakes on the weekend. They're pretty good, but honestly, I wanted a waffle. So I should have just done this. So, you know, we're good to go. All right, give that a whisk. And then we're gonna go in with those leavening agents. Since we made that buttermilk, we wanna use basically like chemical leaveners. So not like yeast, like a Belgian waffle, but we're going in with baking soda and baking powder. So for the baking powder, which is this one, we're going in with 2 teaspoons of that. Also, if you ever get confused, baking powder looks more powdery. Baking soda is kind of shiny. Does that make sense to anybody? Yeah. People are always like, how can you tell? And I'm like, you can tell if you look close enough. All right, into there, I'm also gonna go in with about half a teaspoon of salt just to counteract that sugar. Give that a whisk together. If you want here, you could add in some cinnamon, some sort of spice. That would be beautiful as well. A little bit of nutmeg would give this like a, oh, I don't have any pockets today, but this would give it a really nice kind of donut flavor. So hot tip, do that. Great idea, Mary Berg. Okay, now into there, we're gonna make our wet mixture. So I've got that buttermilk in this little container, this type of buttermilk. I'm gonna add that into a bowl. If I used a bigger measuring cup, I could add everything into there as well. But I wanna add in some eggs. So the first thing I need is those 2 eggs. That's just gonna get mixed right in. That's gonna help bind everything together beautifully. Then I also like a little bit of butter in here as well. So I've got a 1/4 cup of melted butter. This one's melted and cooled. If you just melt it fresh and it's still really hot, as you pour it into that cool milk, it could kind of solidify. Not the end of the world, but not what we're going for. I'm also gonna go in with a little bit of vanilla extract, just about a teaspoon. I'm a free pourer though, so that was probably more like 2 teaspoons. I am a frugal person in the kitchen, except for when it comes to vanilla extract. And then I'm like, whatever, and you throw it all in. But it's delicious. Vanilla is really, really great. It enhances the flavor of pretty much everything else to come. I love vanilla in things. Now I'm giving this a good mix up, just to get everything incorporated. And the reason I'm doing this in 2 different bowls is it's gonna make it so I don't have to develop too much gluten in this flour mixture. That way I'm getting all those eggs incorporated before it even hits that mixture, so I don't have to mix it too much. Because the next kind of hack for making pancakes or waffles is you do not wanna mix this batter more than you need to. You actually wanna leave it lumpy. This is really hard for all the perfectionists out there, so watch out, because you want it to look not good. So we're just gonna mix it just until it's almost fully combined, but not totally smooth. That's because that develops too much gluten and it also knocks out air bubbles. So you wanna be like quick and vigorous, but at this point, you stop. See, that was really hard for me. As you can tell, I'm kind of a perfectionist. So leaving lumps in this feels wrong, but the lumps are gonna make it so we're not knocking all of the air bubbles out that buttermilk and that baking soda and baking powder are producing, and we're not increasing gluten. So we're not gonna get tough waffles, we're not gonna get flat waffles, we're gonna get lovely, light, fluffy waffles with a crispy exterior. So that is looking fantastic. Over here, I have got my grill pan heating up. This is over about medium heat. Now a grill pan, typically you reserve this for burgers, for steaks, things like that, but this is gonna give those like craggles that are gonna fill with syrup and butter. So get a little bit of melted butter or some nonstick cooking spray. Give it a good brush because you want this to release really nicely. And then we're gonna go in with our batter. So I'm going in with about half a cup per waffle. So just scoop it out. Do you see all the bubbles still in that batter when I scoop it? That's what you're looking for. That means I did not overmix. Now right now, it's gonna look like I'm just making a pancake, but as this cooks up, you're gonna get those little craggles, those little rivets, and you're gonna get some beautiful, kinda sorta, grill pan waffles. Do you see, I flipped them over and you get those little ridges. They are so crispy. It's actually kind of bananas how crispy crunchy they are on top. All those little rivets are gonna give you all that little kind of like place for your butter and your syrup and all the good things to go. While these continue cooking on that second side though, I'm gonna make whipped cream because we're having waffles. So, you know, I truly don't think, like a pancake with whipped cream kind of doesn't make sense, but a waffle with whipped cream definitely makes sense. So I'm feeling good about this. Now, my first kind of tip or hack for when you're making whipped cream is you want everything to be cold. So if you can, put your bowl, put your beaters all in the fridge or freezer, just to make sure they're as cold as possible. Because when you're making whipped cream, you want to make sure it is cool. That's going to make sure that the fat in the cream and the whey in the cream don't split and separate as you whip it up. It's going to give you a better chance for a successful whipped cream, which is always a good idea. So what we're gonna do is make a stable whipped cream. So everyone's, I think, had a time where they've made like, You know, it's the summertime and you make that angel food cake, or you buy the angel food cake, and then you do the whipped cream on top. You try to get it prepped in advance, but then it gets weepy. It starts to get a little liquidy around the outside. It doesn't hold those beautiful peaks. I don't want that. I want something that's gonna hold up, something that you can almost pipe onto a cupcake or in between layers of a cake that won't just smush out the sides. So I've got a little bit of a trick for that. So the first thing I need though is about 1.5 cups of whipping cream, and you wanna use your high fat cream. 35% at least is gonna whip up. You can't whip cream that is a lower fat percentage because there's not enough fat in there to hold the air. So I'm going in with that 1.5 cups of cream, right on in. And then my hack to make it so this whipped cream doesn't get weepy and it stays nice and stable is this little guy, instant pudding. I know. It sounds kind of strange, but instant pudding is perfect. I'm using vanilla instant pudding because that's going to save on my vanilla budget because I blew that budget on those waffles earlier. But it's really, really great. So what's in instant pudding is skim milk powder. Skim milk powder adds more milk protein into the cream, and it increases the chance that that fat and whey aren't going to separate. It's going to give a little more elasticity and stability into those bubble structure when you whip it up, so you're good to go. Now, if you don't have instant pudding and for some reason you happen to have just skim milk powder, that will also work. You will need to add a little vanilla into there as well. This also has the addition of a little bit of starch, whether it's cornstarch. Oopsie. We dropped something in the back. Don't worry about it. A little bit of cornstarch in there, which is gonna help, again, stabilize this beautifully. Now, to sweeten this up a little, I'm going in with another tablespoon or 2, maybe up to 4 tablespoons if you like things really sweet, of icing sugar. Icing sugar also has a little bit of cornstarch in it, so again, adding to the thickness, which is beautiful. Then what you wanna do is grab your beaters that are still nice and cold from the freezer, pop those in, and give this a whip. So I like to do a little bit of a stir first. You can kind of see that instant pudding already starting to kind of thicken up everything. So we're just gonna add that in. And when you're whipping cream, if you want it to hold peaks better and longer, always whip your cream on medium. If you do this on medium, it will just lead to a better bubble structure, so it won't be likely to pop. It's like really quickly blowing up a balloon versus taking your time. So just keep whipping that until a nice, lovely, soft, beautiful medium peak holds, just until it's kind of languishy. Once that's done, you're gonna have something that looks a little something like this. I'm not lying, look at that stable whipped cream. Okay, wait, I'm gonna do it. Are you guys ready? Do you know what I'm gonna do? Fingers crossed. Okay, we're gonna do a wide shot because we're doing something weird. Okay. That's stable whipped cream. Do not try that unless you put the pudding or the skim milk powder in there. Everyone backstage is like, oh God, hair makeup, very happy right now. All right, I've got the rest of those waffles in the oven just doing their thing, staying nice and warm. They look and smell so good. I'm very excited about this. I'm gonna grab the other waffles just out of the pan. Perfect, pop them right on. You can tell which ones I made in a hurry on television and which ones our lovely culinary crew helped make. And then we're just gonna plate these up. Now, when I'm doing waffles, I like a little bit of a stack. They are crispy, crunchy still, which is exactly what we're looking for. So just a little stack of a couple waffles right on there. Then we're gonna add on that beautiful whipped cream, which I love so, so much. Again, look at the stability of that. It almost looks like the whipped cream product that you buy in a tub. It is so creamy. It holds those bubbles. You can even see them in the bowl as I scoop it. Nice big dollop right on top. Some strawberries as well, because why not? It's breakfast. We gotta have fruit. You gotta have fruit. And then I'm going on with a little bit of that beautiful pure maple syrup. Does that not look like an absolute dream? Honestly, sometimes I'm very happy when I make breakfast because we are a morning show. And sometimes eating soup in the first thing in the morning, a little weird. Waffles are never a weird thing. Okay, let's give this a taste. They're crispy. That whipped cream is out of control. Let's give it a go. Oh. Get out of here, freezer waffles. Grill pan waffles are here to stay. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.